Ah, those sweet sounds of the Chicago Stadium organ means YouTube hasn't kicked us off the air yet. We're back. The second balcony. Greg and Frank at your service. Hit subscribe, like, share, all those fun things, 5-star reviews, all those things you do that help us find a way into the algorithms of the interwebs and get more eyeballs would be appreciated.
Yeah, don't be 6'7" about it. Go ahead and hit that skibbity button.
I think I think 12 people just unsubscribed now.
Oh,
Well, that's okay. It's you guys are suffering through 20-degree weather down there in Florida. How are you guys going to make it out of that?
I don't know. It's gonna be great weather for the Stadium Series game tonight. They actually had snow in Tampa last night. It was flurries, but still snow in Tampa last night.
We'll blame the NHL for that.
um, actually, I know the players showed up at the stadium, and this is great for the NHL. Was that the players showed up wearing Buccaneers and Patriots uniforms?
Okay.
Why would you advertise another sport?
Right. I mean, I did appreciate that they wore the creamsicle Buccaneer
Oh yeah,
uniforms.
that was
That was
nice.
cool. But yeah, I mean, does the NFL really need more plugs the week before the Super Bowl? I mean, you don't see NFL teams wearing hockey uniforms into their. I don't. I guess since they're playing at the Buccaneers Stadium, whatever.
Yeah,
But
yeah, they're playing in Raymond James.
I don't. It's silly that they, you know, hey, it's a Sunday and you're missing football, so wear football uniforms. So you think this is football? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't get it. Oh well.
Did they? I didn't see the Bruins. Were they wearing the current Patriots uniforms, or were they wearing the '85 Bears Patriots?
I don't even remember. I just saw the creamsicle uniforms. I was like, okay, great, and didn't really notice. Um, but anyway, let's
Oh
take
no,
our lumps here.
the Bruins came in as actual Patriots, not Patriot uniforms, wearing Paul Revere type garb.
Oh, okay,
So they looked like the guy on the helmet from the '85 Bears Patriots uniform.
right.
All right,
They look like a guy in the canister of oatmeal.
there you go. The Quakers. Wilfred Brimley's dad.
Diabetes.
Diabetes. I have that T-shirt. I had it on the other day. All right.
What are you wearing
Uh,
today? I can't even.
this is my Rocky Four. Roosevelt, the greatest of all the Rocky movies.
Oh,
Yeah, this is the best one by far. If he dies, he dies. Also, a Christmas movie, Rocky Four.
that is true.
I mean, the fight takes place on Christmas Day, and the Americans were used to want to beat the Russians, and what's more Christmassy than that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it sure beats Holiday Inn and the blackface number, I guess.
There you go.
Uh,
Speaking of,
on
go
on
ahead.
a previous podcast I used to do. Those of you who know. At one time I went on a rant about Bing Crosby's character in Holiday Inn and how of all of the Christmas movie villains, Bing Crosby's character is the absolute worst.
Bing Crosby, hell of a crooner, but not the world's nicest guy.
No.
But we'll save besmirching the memory of Bing Crosby to another episode. We'll save that for the summer when we don't have a lot of hockey to talk about.
So yeah, and somehow this podcast is the only hockey related media that hasn't gotten a boost in popularity from heated rivalry.
Well, because we don't look anything like those two guys.
Oh no, not even.
And we're not going to make out. Sorry, not, I don't. There's a lot I'll do for ratings, but that's not one of them.
No, if gay people could turn straight, us making out would make that happen.
Probably, yes. Yes. It definitely make them sick to their stomach.
Have you watched any of it?
I have not. I'd like to at some point, just to see what all the buzz is about.
That
I hear it's like a trashy romance novel to come to life around hockey.
Yeah, like I'm 2 episodes in, and um, I'm not gonna give away any plot stuff, but I'm 2 episodes in, and I'm like, okay, all I know is these 2 guys really don't like each other all that much. They're just they just like having sex, and we've all been there. So,
I mean,
that's
that's it's like being married.
I like my wife.
All right. Well, there's one. I'm not
Yeah,
married yet, so but all the jokes about being married that's hits it right on
yeah.
the head. But
Oh,
you know,
believe me, I know not everybody likes their wives. I just happen to like mine.
well, you're a
I'm
lucky man for many
Yeah, well,
reasons.
oh yeah, well, I'm also fully aware of the fact I outkicked my coverage.
We all do. We all do.
So, so okay, I think we've vamped enough. Let's get into the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I wore my Rocky Ford shirt is because the Blackhawks have taken quite a few on the chin since the last time we chatted. A 4-3 shootout loss to the Minnesota Wild right after we talked last time. In a game they had a 3-0 lead and played really
Yeah,
well, and then just couldn't come up with one more goal. Um, then the second half of the Mother's trip to Pittsburgh was one of the worst games of the year. That second period was probably the worst period of hockey they played all season. It's one of the least, 3 worst periods they've played all season, if not the worst.
yeah, they had 5 minutes in there that was worse than any 60 minutes they played all year.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And then they came back home play the Columbus Blue Jackets the following night on Friday. It was a little better, but it still wasn't very good. You had one line. You had the Connor Bedard, Frank Nazar, and who the hell was on their line that night? I don't remember. That's how memorable it was. Wasn't Tavo anymore. Did they put Pertuzzi back up there? They put Pertuzzi back up there.
I think so.
That was the only line that did anything that night against the all of a sudden scorching red hot Columbus Blue Jackets.
Yeah, Bertuzzi was on that line because the 2 Hawks goals were one was Nazar, one was Bedard, and Bertuzzi had assists on both of them.
Yeah, and they were both really nice goals. The Hawks had chances to win that game. The Blue Jackets, they can't.
Bedard's getting going. Bedard's getting going just in time for the Hawks to stop playing.
Right, which is typical. But that Blue Jackets game was frustrating. I mean, but I know you can only hope to contain future Hall of Famer Charlie Coyle for so long. He's eventually going to come and get you. The innocent bystander, Charlie Coyle. Yeah, that game was frustrating because Bedard gets the game tying goal with like 2.7 seconds left in the first period after they just allowed the first goal. You're like, oh, okay, that's a nice response. Maybe take that into the second period. And then you give up 2 goals early in the second period and the game's essentially over. And that first goal of the second period, the Blue Jackets' second goal of the game, it was just served up on a platter by Andre Burakovsky. Just he would have been easier if he just turned around and put it in his own net. It would have looked less embarrassing. And then Bedard set up Nazar in the second period, towards the end of the second period, to get it to 3-2. A really nice play, really nice finish for Nazar. Only his second goal since the end of October. So that's good to see. And then, again, the power play, 0 for 26 in the last 9 games. And Connor Bedard had a wide open net and a goalie with no stick, and he put it just over the crossbar in the final seconds. That would have gotten that game to overtime.
Yep. couldn't really salvage the point.
Frustrating. And then poor Connor Bedard, they made him go out and do post game afterwards, and he was just like, I don't want to talk to any of you right now, and I don't blame him. I'm surprised he was out there, but he must have.
It was an NHL Network game. He had no choice.
Man. It was the only game on the schedule, too, by the way, on a Friday night. A Friday night with no NFL, and you have one effing game on the schedule. The NHL just loves to just step on their own dicks, don't they?
I know. I wouldn't trust Gary Bettman to run a one-car parade.
I don't know. This is the weekend that, there's no football. The week off in between the championships games and the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
You have one game on a Friday, and then today, the Sunday, you have 3 games. One of them is your Stadium Series game that, outside of Tampa and Boston, I don't think anybody gives a rat's ass about. Yesterday, Saturday, or even today, Sunday, that's when you do one of those frozen frenzy days where all 32 teams play.
Yeah.
And you started
they did the frozen frenzy like on a weekday.
Yeah, they did it on a Tuesday.
Do you remember a few years ago they did like Hockey Day in Canada, and we had games all day with all kinds of documentaries about like what hockey means to Canada, and they started with a game on the East Coast, and they ran early, and the way they ran the schedule, there was game after game after game. You got like 4 or 5 full games on CBC, and then and CBC, I think at that point was feeding into either the NHL Network or ESPN or something. Somebody was running the feed, so it was just a full day of hockey, and that would be the great thing for the NHL to do. Have a day. And this weekend would be the perfect time for it.
Yesterday would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Start at noon and just go all day. Every half hour, every 15 minutes, another game starts.
Start at noon Eastern. That way, people on the West Coast can get up in the morning and eat breakfast, and there's a hockey game on. And so you got a game on the East Coast, and then just move across the continent.
Seems too easy. This would have been the perfect weekend to do it. No football, not a whole lot of anything going on. Excuse me. And, you have one game on Friday. You had, a bunch of games yesterday, and then just 3 today. Should have done the Frozen Frenzy yesterday or today, and you could have thrown that Stadium Series right in the middle of that. That could have been the marquee, event of the day.
Yeah.
But instead they do it on a Tuesday night in October when there's Major League Baseball playoffs and college football and the NBA going on. They do it. They have all 16 teams play on a Tuesday night, and so 24 to 32 teams are playing at the same time. Who the hell? Yeah. What kind of BS is that? The idea of getting all your teams to play on the same day is to promote the game, to have it on all day so people can watch when there's not a lot else going on.
And, it's the sort of thing where between periods, the series that Amazon runs every year is so good because they really get in depth with some players. So you get to know some guys, and do something like that where in between periods, people who might not be hardcore hockey fans, introduce them to some of the players, introduce them to some of the teams, do pieces on the different traditions involved, around hockey. Go to Madison Square Garden, and like, why are you guys still whistling about Dennis Potvin? Do anything.
Right. Yeah. Do something to promote the game.
Yeah. There's a lot of really cool stuff around hockey. Get on it.
That's the thing. It just feels that like the NHL is just satisfied with catering to hardcore hockey fans and nobody else.
Yeah, that's not how you grow the game.
I mean,
no. And I'm going to bring it back to heated rivalry. How many people are now watching hockey because they watched heated rivalry and got interested in the game?
Especially young women are they love that show. Now they're watching hockey and they're learning about these players. So how do you not
Yeah,
somehow figure out a way to do that?
yeah,
The Olympics, one of the most out of touch sporting events in the whole world. They jumped on it. They had the two lead actors help with the torch relay in Italy the other day.
yeah,
I mean, who would have thought those two guys, 6 months ago, auditioning for this role that they'd be carrying the Olympic torch? That's awesome for them.
hey,
Um,
paid trip to Italy. That's pretty sweet.
yeah, I mean, but like, how have they not been involved in some of this NHL stuff, dropping puck? Blackhawks are having their Pride Night on tomorrow night against San Jose. I didn't even know that was a thing until they mentioned it uh, the last home game Friday night. Just a blurb on the scoreboard. Didn't exactly promote it, but they didn't really do Hockey Fights Cancer Night a lot of promotion either. Um, but how do you not have those guys drop the first puck on Pride Night at everybody's Pride Night?
Oh yeah,
I mean, they'd sell more tickets. Just the fact that just have those guys there and have a meet and greet before the game with the guys from Heated Rivalry and have them drop the puck. I mean, that would be, you know, a big event to get new fans in the building.
yeah,
I mean, you got Monday should be, plenty of buzz anyway with the Hawks. They're going to be playing the Sharks and Macklin Celebrini and Connor Bedard and, you know, the competition between those two teams. The Sharks are slightly ahead of the Hawks, at least in the standings. I don't know about overall rebuild.
they're
I
they're
think,
they're a year ahead.
yeah, and they're, Celebrini is tremendous. He's an elite star. They've got some other nice components there, but who would you rather be right now, though? The Blackhawks or the Sharks? Where the Sharks have Celebrini, Will Smith's a pretty good player. Eklund's a fine player, but you don't really have any defensemen, and your goaltending is, I mean, they have Askarov, who's a you know a highly touted prospect and has gotten better, but hasn't been spectacular. Where when you look at the Hawks, they're not as good in the NHL right now, but they seem to have a deeper roster going forward. And they have the goaltending and the defense that the Sharks don't.
Yeah, and this is one of these things. I want to get into it a little bit, talking about uh, the Hawks seasons. Look, the Hawks aren't making the playoffs. It's just how it is. So people are starting to ask me, like, "Hey, what do you think about this guy in the draft? What do you think about that guy in the draft?" Like, I can't even think about the draft because the Blackhawks right now are in the fifth spot for the lottery, but 2 through 6 are separate. There's 2 points
Right.
separating 2 from 6. So any of those teams can land anywhere in the lottery, and wherever they land in the lottery, then you have to see how the ping pong balls fall. Once we know where the Hawks are picking, then you
Right.
can start saying, okay, here are the guys you could put on that Kyle Davidson's going to have on the shopping list. But the Blackhawks they have plenty of space for guys. Have they have I want to say 9 contract slots at this point. They have 41 guys signed, and you're allowed 50.
And
Um,
you're gonna lose a few guys this
you're going to lose a few
off.
guys,
Yeah.
but the one thing I think Davidson is going to want to avoid is not having just 5 or 6 guys all on their entry level contracts at the same time,
Right.
all signing their entry level contract this year. So in 3 years you're going to have 5 or 6 RFAs. And granted, they could take their top 6 prospects, give them all entry level, their top 6 unsigned prospects, give them all entry level contracts, and 3 years from now, not all 6 of those guys are going to be stars. It's just how it works.
Right.
So, but still, you want to be cautious. You don't want to just throw everything in. You don't want to have that big bang in 3 years.
Yeah, it got the 2010 Hawks in trouble.
Yeah.
When all these guys were due new paper at the same time, and you know they were up against it pretty quickly.
Well, yeah, but the other thing that happened too was the whole fax debacle. So guys didn't get their qualifying offers, so they had to overpay them to keep them from becoming UFAs. So that it was Versteeg, Bufflin.
Was Brower one of those guys?
Maybe. That sounds right.
Brower, and why does Cam Barker stick out to me as one of those guys too?
Oh, Cam Barker sticks out in a lot of ways, but that's not one.
None of them good though. None of them
good. So yeah, I mean, you can go to the elite prospect page, same as we can, and you can see who the top prospects on the Hawks are, and you can say, "Oh, I want this guy to go pro, and this guy to go pro, and this guy to go pro, and this guy to go pro," and maybe they will, but like, not all those guys are going to pan out, and they also don't want to have that big block of contracts all coming due simultaneously.
Yeah, that's why and some of these guys you could sign them, and their year will slide depending on where they play next year. All that stuff. So, when you look at what's going to happen this year, they're probably going to dump a couple of contracts here at the deadline, and then I think with unless Djurgården goes on a ridiculous 1980 U.S. Olympic team-esque run here,
which I don't see happening.
No, I mean, right now they're not even in a playoff spot. They're right there. So even if they make it, they're going to probably have a very quick exit. It's going to be like, the Utah Mammoth versus the Colorado Avalanche in the first round. Like, hey, you tried real hard. You made some progress. Now here's 4 games of an ass whooping to finish up your season. So we'll see Frondell here. And, other than that, this year, I don't know if there's going to be any other. Kancerov's not coming.
He's not coming until the summer.
Yeah, he'll sign after his contract expires in May, and we'll see him here in the fall because his team is I don't know what the Russian word for wagon is, but that's what they are. They are dominating the KHL. They are
in large part because of him.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got 29 goals, leads the league in goals, and I think he's only 2 points behind or 3 points behind overall scoring. But they have 82 points on the season, and his team does, and the next closest team in the KHL is at 72 points. So like they're going to make a deep run, and he's under contract through the end of May anyway. So even if they do get eliminated, yes, those things can be negotiated, and then the Blackhawks can cut a check. But it doesn't make sense this year to have him. Frondell makes more sense because he's already signed the Hawks, so he can just come over. He's technically on loan there anyway. So
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a box of Anton Frondell sticks sitting somewhere in the United Center right now.
Probably. I know they got I know they got the jerseys already boxed somewhere, just waiting to put him in the.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Was he going to wear 15 when he's here? Isn't that what he wore at juniors, or would he wear 16?
What's he wearing at Djurgården?
Let's take a peek, shall we?
I just wearing 14.
He's one of those numbers. He wore. Was it 14 at the World Juniors?
Yeah, I think so. See, this is the preparation you guys love about us.
Exactly. No, he's wearing 14 for Djurgårdens, and I think he wore number 16 at the World Juniors. So that's why I'm thinking 15, right in between 14 and 16. But 14's available.
I
Well,
was gonna
no.
say 14's available.
Well, no. Well, when they trade Kevin Korchinski, he'll be available. Got to remember, he's 14 now.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a stellar night in Rockford. Let's crank some hogs. He had a stellar
Yeah,
night
that's
in
good.
Rockford the other night.
Yeah, what was he? Minus 4.
Yeah,
Well, it's better
I
than a -5 that our guy Artie and Wyatt Kaiser was the other night in Pittsburgh. But
yeah,
yeah,
but this is not the year the Blackhawks wanted Kevin Korchinski to have. He's
no,
putting points up, but he's not establishing himself as a defenseman that they can bring to Chicago and count on.
yeah, it's the clock is ticking on young Mister Korchinski. I am not writing him off by any means necessary. That would be silly at this point because he's still far too young. But
Oh yeah,
we're at the end of his entry level contract, and he's not much different than he was 2 years
yeah,
ago. He's bigger, he's a little more physical, but he's still having a lot of the same problems in the defensive zone, which is a problem when you're a defenseman.
yeah, yeah. When the Hawks first drafted him, I compared him to Mike Green, and Mike Green was a defense optional guy also, but Mike Green had the good fortune of spending a few years on a power play with Alex Ovechkin.
Yeah.
That's a luxury Kevin Korchinski doesn't get.
No, I mean, you could deal with the defensive inefficiencies if Korchinski's putting up 60, 70 points, but he doesn't have
Yeah,
that in him. As talented as he is offensively, he's not that guy. Not at this point in his career, maybe. But I mean, at least with him, he's got, or I should say the Blackhawks have Levshinoff and Renzel to kind of help them take their sweet time with Korchinski.
mhm.
But I think he's going to get every chance humanly possible to prove he can be an effective NHL player because that was Kyle Davidson's first pick. That was the pick
Yeah,
that he traded Alex DeBrincat to get. I don't see
yeah,
him giving up on Korchinski after 3 years unless it's part of a trade to get him, an Elias Pettersson or somebody like that.
yeah. Which that's the one thing the Hawks are gonna have to do is, you got all these kids running around, but you have to have some established guys, and they have to get an established star to go with Bedard. And a guy like Pedersen would be a great pickup if Vancouver was willing to trade him inside the division. And Korchinski's he could definitely be part of a package to get a guy like that.
Yeah, I mean that's a guy I would look for. Vancouver. I mean, listen, they traded Quinn Hughes within the conference to the Wild, so I don't see that being. I don't envision the Canucks and the Blackhawks meeting in the playoffs anytime soon, to where Elias
No.
Pettersson's going to come back to haunt them. He's definitely a guy that if he's out there this summer, make a phone call. I think he's one of those guys that once he gets out of Vancouver is going to take off
Yeah,
and be the star that he has shown signs that he can be.
and especially you trade him to a place like Chicago. First thing he's going to do is get off the plane, take the cab to the United Center and just see banners with Connor Bedard's face all over him.
Yeah.
So,
Not a lot
he
of
won't
pressure.
have that pressure.
Yeah. Right. I mean, you got Bedard. Nazar is already one of these guys that's already right behind Bedard as far as face of the franchise. So, he's not going to have to be the guy here. He's going to have to be the guy's guy. And that's a guy I would definitely see what the asking price is. You know, and he's signed for pretty reasonable. I mean, he's still pretty young.
Yeah.
He's yet to really hit the prime of his career. So those are the type of guys you give the big haul for. You don't give the big haul to get, the last 3 years of Artemi Panarin, who's on the downside of his career. I'm not. We'll get to Panarin in a second, but just he's signed through 30 31, 31 32. So you would get Pedersen 6 years of Pedersen, and he's 25 right now.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of that contract, he's still going to be young enough to get another contract, whether it's in Chicago or anyplace else.
Right.
Yeah, if he's on the
I'm
block,
sorry. He's 27. I'm not 25. Okay. 27. But
all right, so he'll still be 33.
Yeah, and he's 11.6 million salary cap. That's not that big a deal. Not now. No, not with the cap going up. Not with the Blackhawks going to have so many guys on their ELCs for the next 3-4 years.
Yeah, the one thing Pedersen would cost. I mean, yeah, Korchinski would be part of the package, but they would have to give up somebody good too, and that's why Kyle Davidson gets what he gets. He'd have to sit there and talk to Vancouver, and because I'm sure Vancouver is going to ask about. They're going to ask about Frundell. They're going to ask about Kinserov. They're going to ask about Lardis. Those are the guys they're going to ask about.
Well, hey, listen, if they want Nick Lardis, done. I like Nick Lardis, but he's not Elias Pettersson.
No.
If it's Kevin Korchinski,
I mean, it's got to be a package, and
right.
A first rounder is going in there too, and
right.
It's going to be
their own first round. It's going to be their own first rounder. It's not going to be
right.
the Panthers' first rounder.
No,
it's going to be their top 5 or 6 pick. Korchinski, I'm sure they'll ask for Nazar. They'll get hung up on, but they start high. Listen, if it's their own first round pick and maybe one of those second round picks or second round pick next year too, Korchinski and Lardis, done. Yeah. Not even blinking an eye. Not hesitating.
There's nobody they can take in the first round this year that's going to help them as much as a guy like Pedersen would.
Right.
I mean,
the only guy.
It could wind up being the number one. It could wind up being McKenna or one of those other guys, but at some point the future has to be now.
Yeah, you can't keep. At some point you have to make strides for the current season, and not keep hoping that 3 years from now this is going to work. Even though I'm fine with where everything is at right now, I think they're pretty much on pace, maybe a little bit behind where I'd like them to be, but last year was such a disaster that it's going to take them a little while to get through that, and this year's been a big improvement. We're going to see a significant jump in points, but it's not even just a jump in points. It's seeing the significant quality improvement in just overall play under Jeff Blashill. Yes, we're saying this after an 0-3 week and a week where they just got embarrassed in Pittsburgh, but it looks better than it has at any point since Kyle Davidson took over.
Yeah. And, again, we're going to see, we've talked about the Tom Curvers and how the Blackhawks team is just going to absolutely steamroll everybody. But, the fact of the matter is there are some guys that they're going to have to, some guys are going to go pro. And we already know some of them, like, okay, Marek Van Acker, he's going pro. And we know Frundell's coming over. 99% sure Kinserov's coming over. AJ Spelliscy is going pro. So that's 4 guys right there. And, you don't know what these other guys, what conversations are going on between Kyle Davidson and these other guys' agents. Like, I'm sure part of Sasha Boisvert dropping the gloves a couple weeks ago was, saying to the Blackhawks, "Look, I'm ready to go here. I'm ready to."
It really sounds like they are expecting him to turn pro, and they want him to at the end of this year. It's really sounding that way. So,
and Pridham and Boisvert might just spend all of next. Jack Pridham is a guy. Okay, he's committed to BU next year, but it's like, okay, the guy's going to be 21 in October. Do you really want him to start his collegiate career at that point?
Well, I think with the year he's having right now, 31 goals, 62 points. He's 2 points out of the overall lead in the
Yeah,
OHL. Him and Vanacker are the only two 30 goal scorers in the league right now.
yeah,
I think that is kind of told the Blackhawks, like, forget college, come play in Rockford next year.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Pridham's a guy, and every time I watch Jack Pridham play, I'm like, he's getting goals, he's getting assists, but I don't see anything in his game where I'm thinking, yeah, this is a guy who could be a problem for the rest of the Central Division. I just don't see it. Maybe I could be wrong. I always say I wanted Kyle Turris instead of Patrick Kane, so I could easily be wrong.
yeah, I mean, the numbers look good, but he's probably going to be a guy that needs to learn a couple of new holes to make it in the pros.
Yeah.
Like I always mention, like, look at Dave Boland's last year in the O. 100
Oh
and
yeah.
something points, but he knew he was never going to be that guy in the NHL, so he quickly transformed the way he played. Pridham's going to be one of those guys that you're not scoring 30 goals in the NHL, so figure out a reason why we should keep you here.
Yeah, because the way that Canadian Junior is now with guys going to the NCAA, 20 is becoming overage.
Right.
So yeah, you can't. Anytime you see a guy putting up numbers like that, you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. I mean, Van Acker has been this good, so
Right.
there's. It's not like what Van Acker's doing is any kind of an outlier. Pridham's never done anything like this. So, but we'll see what happens. I'd be very happy to be wrong and have Jack Pridham turn into a solid NHL player. And solid is good too. Not you. Nobody's nobody's gonna roll 12 Patrick Kanes on the front line.
No, I mean, if you get a solid NHL contributor with the 92nd overall pick in the draft, you take it. You take it and
Yeah,
run. Yeah, he had Pridham had 27 goals, 54 points in 48 games last year once he came over to the OHL. So now he's at 62 points in 46 games. So he's definitely been able to score in Kitchener. We'll see if that can
yeah.
we'll see if that can carry over.
If it that might translate out to a 40-point a year third liner, which is fine. You need those guys.
You do. And again, if you get one of those guys in the third round, late third round of the draft, you take it. I mean, that's a high quality, that's a lot of value for that draft pick there. You mentioned Braver is a guy that's we talked about likely to come over. You still have some other guys like, what happens with John Mustard? Does he go? He probably goes back to Providence again.
That's what I would think.
For a third season. He's still he'll be 20 in August, so he'll probably go back for a third season.
Nathan Bame's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah, he's having that season where you were like, where the hell did that come from? He has the most points of all Blackhawks prospects right now with 65 points in 47 games. And he's scoring and assisting.
Good in camp. He looked good in camp last year. I was like, okay, he looks bigger than I thought he was going to be. And, he was not shying away from, getting out there against veterans. So he was a guy who was like, he definitely, it was like Spellacy in camp 2 years ago, where it was a guy who definitely opened some eyes in camp. And, it's one of these things where that the Blackhawks front office made a note, like, okay, Nathan, we got one in Nathan Bame, better than we should have gotten out of, again, another third rounder.
Yep. He was taken early third round, 66th overall. He has got 28 goals, 65 points. He's on pace for 40 goals for Kamloops, the Blazers. That was after scoring 31 and 66 last year. He's still young. I don't see he's committed to go to Arizona State next year, and I'm sure they're going to stick to that plan. Let him get at least 1 year of college. As you said earlier, you can't. He's only 18 still. That's far too young for me to bring to Rockford. Just when you all those guys we just mentioned who are going to be there, there's just no place for him to play. A guy like that's got to play, top 6, top 9 minimum. And with all those guys that are going to be here next year, Boisvert is going to be in Rockford, Van Acker is going to be in Rockford, Spellacy is going to be in Rockford. You still, who knows? Maybe Frondell is playing in Rockford for a little bit next year. Maybe Canceroff is playing there. Just, you don't know. Just to get him a little North America. I doubt it, but
yeah, as a Canceroff might, the Russian guys put that kicker in their contract where, it's NHL or I'm going home.
Yeah, but you never know.
I mean, granted, that's usually undrafted free agents. Like Panarin did that.
Right.
Canceroff is a draft pick, so he doesn't have quite as much leeway.
No, and the way he plays, I see him making a fairly smooth transition to the NHL. But just you never know. So that's why I don't think Bame is an option. I'm pretty sure they've already said, go to Tempe, and don't get in trouble. Stay away from, have your fun, but
right.
Stay away from the camera phones as much as possible.
Yeah.
And go enjoy playing your college hockey in a former NHL arena.
Yeah, and I think Nistrassel's got another year too in college.
For sure. Yeah, he's still very green. He's fun to watch though. He had a couple assists the other night for UMass, and but yeah, he needs another year of college. He needs another year of that
World Junior.
Yeah, and just what the NCAA brings to a young player. The weight room, the extra practice time, the meal programs. It's better for him at this point because he's still got a lot of filling out to do.
Yeah, but he's got the frame for it. If he could put on another 10, 15 pounds, all of a sudden you've got a guy who's going to be a real problem for other teams. And it's hard to see it right now because the young players on the Blackhawks right now aren't terribly large people, and that's going to change really fast.
Yeah, I mean, you look at last year's draft class, the smallest guy they took was the first guy, Antoine Frondell, and he's a pretty big player.
Yeah, he's a thick boy.
He's 6'2" ish. Yeah. And he was the smallest guy they took. So, you got Nistrassel. If Mason West ever turns out to be something, that's a big boy. We talked about Spellacy's got size coming. Yeah, I mean, Bame's 6'2", 200 pounds already. So you've got guys coming that have the size.
Yeah, I mean, West has got 10 points in 15 games without going to camp with Fargo or anything like that. And the thing you're watching for with West really is what he does next year in college. Going to Michigan State, going to Michigan State's better than going to the AHL.
Well, and you got Jared Nightingale's brother as the head coach there. So it's essentially, Rockford North. They're going to pretty much be able to have scouting reports at ease, at the snap of a finger. So that should work out pretty well.
Okay, who you got there?
This is the troublemaker. This is Olive.
Oh, okay.
She can't sit still. She's the pup.
Yeah, because I'm hearing her too.
Yeah, she's a snorter.
Yeah, like Fred wanted to just be picked up and petted, but he's done with it after about 10 seconds. And Ginger is back here asleep behind me. Just completely
Yeah.
unimpressed with the goings on.
Wilbur's nice and snug in the bed in front of my desk, and this one, I figure if I'm holding her, she can't get in any trouble in other rooms of the house, because she likes to put everything in her mouth and make sure it's not edible. We came home the other night and there was ink all over the blanket covering the couch because somebody ate a pen.
Oh, great.
And she's a jumper, so she's able to get up in places that she shouldn't. So yeah, she's cute and adorable, but she is a troublemaker.
But back to the Hawks. So they're done playing Wednesday for the break.
Right.
Now, and you said when can they practice again?
They can start practicing on the 17th of February, so they'll have about 2 weeks off. So they'll get about a week of practice before they start up again. So Jeff Blashill talked about the other day, before the last game, saying how when he was talking about Artem Levshinov, how that's going to kind of be like a second training camp, which will be good for all these young players.
Yeah. And also we'll see like who forgot to use sunscreen.
Yeah, I mean, so they can't practice between the 6th and the 16th.
Yeah.
So then, so they'll. I'm sure these guys will be. I mean, that's my mission tomorrow at Morningsgate, is to find out where these guys are going, and do they have any kind of crazy side bets for the Olympic tournament going on? The fun stuff, the hard hitting questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I just remember the 2010 Olympics. The Hawks had 11 guys.
Yeah, they were quite a
They
bit.
had a bunch of guys, and whoever didn't go went to Cancun.
Who did they have in 2010? They had Kane and Taves. They also had Keith and Seabrook.
Keith, Seabrook,
Hossa.
Hossa, and Kopechki.
Oh, I forgot about Kopechki. Good call.
I
don't think Jarmelson was on 20. He was 2014.
Yeah, Hjalmarsson, I don't think got the Swedish team.
No, he was still kind of young. So I think that was that 7?
Yeah, I don't. Did Cristobal Huet go for France?
I don't remember. Maybe.
I don't either.
Yeah, 2014.
Yeah, they had a bunch of guys.
2014, they had a lot of the same guys, and Jarmelson and Oduya were for Sweden.
Yeah.
But yeah, the only guy going this, well, 2 guys from the Hawks roster are going. Teuvo Teravainen and Anders Sorensen gets to go to Italy for a couple of weeks to be one of Sweden's assistant coaches. So that'd be a good experience for him. And then goaltending prospect Adam Gajan is going to be on Slovakia's team. So it'll be interesting to see if he gets any games in the tournament.
I hope so.
Yeah, hopefully it's not against like Canada or the U.S. and just watch them just get destroyed. That wouldn't be good for the old confidence.
Yeah, I kind of think Russia's gonna be looking to make a statement in this because they don't get a chance to play international. There's no World Juniors. They didn't do. They weren't one of the 4 nations. So I think they're going to be going with a big chip on their shoulder.
Yeah, it sucks that they're not, part of it. I get it. I agree with it. I don't have an issue with that, but it still kind of sucks that, you're advertising this as best on best. It's not best on best because you won't have, the Russian team won't be there. So that's a lot of really good players that won't be there. So, hopefully in 4 years or 2 years when we're back at the whatever World Cup thing the NHL is dreaming of, that they'll, I'm sure, screw up immensely.
Yeah.
maybe by then the world will be a different place and they could play hockey on an international
Yeah.
stage because they'd have a really good Olympic team if they were allowed to play this year.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um,
I wonder if a guy like Roman Kanserov would have been on it if
I know.
because they usually did, at least the last few Olympics that they participated in, they weren't all NHL guys. They always had 3 or 4 top KHL guys go there too.
Yeah.
So that would have been fun to see.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. We'll just have to wait for Roman Kinserov to light up the Tom Kerber's tournament in
Yeah,
November.
that's going to be fun because that's going to be one of their first big events at the USG Arena there at the new Blackhawks Ice Center. It's a really nice facility, and that place will be packed and buzzing that night.
Oh yeah.
I would
And that's gonna be a
advise.
real nice place. That's gonna be a nice place to go see the Steel play too. The Blackhawks are, even as bad as they've been, it's still not a cheap ticket. So
No,
if you want to go see a hockey game, you want to take, especially if you have like kids and you want to take the family of 4 to a hockey game. If you don't have Hawks money and you don't want to go out to Rosemont, the Steel's gonna be a really good deal.
yeah, and they're going to have some good players there too. I mean,
They usually
they're
do.
they're one of the top, USHL teams every year. If you just look at the list of guys that have played there recently. I mean, Macklin Celebrini played for them. Owen
Yeah.
Power and Adam Fantilli and Mackie Samoskevich, who had big goal against the Hawks last week, and Matthew Coronado up in Calgary played there. Lots of NHL guys, and lots of top prospects across the NHL are either already playing there or recently played there. So if they were able to convince kids to come and play in Geneva, Illinois, imagine what they're going to be able to do to be like, yeah, now you get to play in a state-of-the-art facility owned by the Blackhawks.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
And and imagine the physiques on these guys because they're going to be able to use the Blackhawks weight room and
yeah.
these are not going to be your average junior hockey players at all.
No, it's definitely going to be a very good recruiting tool for them to keep doing what they're doing. They've produced some pretty damn good hockey players and hockey coaches too. I mean, look, Dan Muse, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, won a Clark Cup with the Steel, and their longtime GM, is it Hardy, the guy that really helped build the program up. He's been the assistant GM for the Maple Leafs for a while, running the Marlies. The way things are going in Toronto, he might be getting the NHL gig here real soon. Oh boy, yeah. That's a disaster, and I'm here for it, just to watch the nightly meltdown.
It is something.
And to see Craig Berube get hit in the head by an iron by his wife.
When was the last time they won the cup?
Oh boy. My favorite meme I saw this week was a picture of Craig Berube at the podium with his gigantic healing gash on his head, and it had a little across his forehead. It said "panic meter," and the arrow was pointing all the way to the right. It was pretty good. I got a kick out of that.
Yeah, all the Titanic jokes have been great too.
Well, I mean, listen, they ran Mitch Marner out of town. Fine, he wasn't going to resign there, so trade him. I don't have a problem with that. But to let Mitch Marner go and then think you're going to replace what he does with 3 fourth liners, and you think you're going to be better, stop listening to the so-called experts on social media that say Mitch Marner is bad and put him out there. I mean, he's a great player. great player, and everybody likes to isolate him when things go wrong. But you can do that. How many times did we see during his time here in Chicago, Patrick Kane with a piano on his back as the opponent was scoring? Difference was, he won when it mattered, and so that's why
Right.
people overlook those things. But Toronto always needs a scapegoat. So who's it going to be this year? You ran Marner out of town. You ran Dubas out of town. You ran Sheldon Keefe out of town. Who's the scapegoat now? When do they turn on Austin Matthews?
Yeah, right. He's next.
There's a reason he only signed a 4-year deal. He's no
Yeah.
dummy. He's no dummy.
That's right. I'm sure everybody in Toronto is already sitting there just counting down the days, thinking that Connor McDavid's going to come to the rescue.
No way.
McDavid's not. He's not sticking his wang in that hornet's nest.
No, he's got enough of it where he is right now. Why would he?
Yeah.
I mean, he's in West Coast Toronto right now, as far as media coverage and scrutiny.
Yeah.
He's gonna come to Chicago. We all know that.
The Blackhawks are just gonna go out there and just sign every single player named Connor.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
You had a run on Brandon's a few years ago, so just get all the Connors.
Yeah. Brandon, Brendan, all those.
Yeah, oh, whatever. Yeah, all those things. What is your before we wrap up here? We're getting close to our magical 60-minute mark. We just want to get your take on the Artemi Panarin stuff going around. First of all, I'm upset because he's on my fantasy team that I'm in Ben Pope's fantasy league, and I'm fighting for a playoff spot, and those idiot Rangers are holding him out till they trade him. So I'm not happy about that. I know first world problems, but
yeah,
I don't understand why he wants a contract extension before being traded.
Me either. I would think he'd want to go hit the open market and let,
because he's going to be the only guy. The free agency class is awful this year. He's
like right now.
Rake.
Without him, who's the best free agent? Alex Tuck? I don't even know. I mean, Ovechkin's not signed yet, but Ovechkin's either going to play for the Caps or he's going to
he's
Russia.
not going. He's not. Yeah, he's not signing with the Sharks or anybody like that. It's the Capitals, or he's gonna, hang out in Putin's skybox.
Yeah.
I just don't understand why he wants to have the extension. That doesn't make sense to me. You would think he'd want to hit the open market and let all these teams that are willing to trade for him bid on him.
I don't know what he's thinking.
And the Sharks are a team that are rumored to be willing to give him an extension. I don't get that. They're a team that's got so many glaring holes, and goal scoring is not one of them.
Yeah.
So why would you give up future assets for the back end, the back nine of Artemi Panarin's career, so he can, rack up assists playing with Celebrini? You need to go out and get a stud defenseman, not another goal scorer. You're fine offensively. You've been winning every game 7-6 all season.
Yeah. I don't know. I've heard Detroit's in on him. I was like,
well, Elliot Friedman last night said that he considers the Washington Capitals the favorite, which is interesting.
Yeah, I can see that being a thing. And
Carolina's going to be in the mix. Carolina's always in the mix.
Yeah.
They don't care about the future. They just, they proved that last year with giving up a shit ton to get Mikko Rantanen, and after 6 weeks going, that we're good.
Yeah. And, I would, anytime a guy like this is on the market, I would never count out Bill Zito.
No, or Vegas. Vegas always wants guys.
Yeah.
They figure it out, but they already made their big splash this year with Rasmus Anderson. So I doubt they'll do that, but I'd never count them out,
Yeah. I think Florida is a good landing spot for Connor Murphy.
Yeah, I think so. Toronto looked to be a great place for the longest time, but I think they're coming to the realization they're not making the playoffs, so they're not going to add anything.
No.
There's some good options out there. I'd be interested to see where the Ducks are if they're still in a playoff hunt. Maybe I could see him being a good fit there. Bring another veteran physical player out there to play for Joel Quenneville. That would be a good fit.
Yeah. Well, we could talk about this next week when we don't have any hockey games to talk about.
Well, we'll have Monday's San Jose Sharky game and a rematch with those pesky Blue Jackets to talk about. I'm sure those will give us an hour's worth of content.
Oh, absolutely. And then we can do our Olympic preview and our Olympic preview, or as I like to say, who's getting their ass kicked by Canada. Oh, Canada has no goaltending, but still. And we could start playing with the trade deadline a little bit.
Sounds like a plan.
Right.
We will definitely. I think the plan is Monday nights are pretty good going forward after the game tomorrow, and we'll definitely be getting these out at minimum once a week going forward. But so we appreciate you guys checking us out and subscribing and liking and sharing and all those things. We'd love to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube. Yep.
Keep cranking those hogs, boys and girls.
And girls. Yeah, we don't discriminate here.
No. Any hog, crank any crankable hog.
There you go. Just get consent first. That's all.
Yeah.
On that note, we're going to have Al play us away, and we'll be back next week with some Olympic talk.